Lobster, lobster. We're talking lobsters. Welcome to Where Does Food. I am Tim.
What's up, you guys? I'm Elle.
And this show about the history of food told from two totally random people.
What's up?
Yeah, and as I sang at the beginning with my gorgeous, like, I don't know, Michael Bolton-esque voice, not nearly raspy enough. Today's episode is about lobster. Elle, what
Tim,
are your opinions, your thoughts, your virtues, your everything? What is your energy behind lobster?
I'll be real. The first thing I think about is the Krusty Krab.
Krusty Krab pizza.
The second thing I think infringement. Sorry, Nickelodeon. The second thing I think about is the dancing lobsters from the Amanda Show.
Okay, so lobster isn't a food to you. Lobster is just entertainment value.
And then I think of buttered with some little bit of garlic. You know what I'm saying?
Buttered with garlic.
Just drip it.
Do you like lobster is what I was trying to get.
I mean, it's good. It's all right.
Okay, yeah. Lobster's all right. Well,
Tim, what about you?
What?
Do you love lobster?
I adore it. I don't really eat a lot of lobster, but I do like lobster.
You like when you eat it,
yeah, I do like it when I eat it. I'm having a blast every time. And I guess, so as tradition on this show, we typically rank our foods, and we don't have a system in place.
Absolutely not.
Every week it changes, and I think this week at random from a hat, I'm gonna ask, how many horseshoes do you rate lobster from 0 to, let's just say, 200?
To 200?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a
lot of horseshoes.
That's a lot of horses.
A lot of horses needed different shoes. So it's a bucket of old horseshoes.
I'm gonna go upper tier on this one. If we're gonna break it down like that, I would say at least a 170.
A 170? Yeah. Okay, well, I don't think we're gonna be able to get you up any higher, but we'll see if we can lower it. That's my new goal.
Okay. I'm gonna try
and lower your lobster expectations. No.
I have high expectations.
Yeah. We're gonna dive into the history of this thing, and we're going to see if you like it more or less.
Is it because we're going to the ocean because we're diving? I'm sorry. I'll go to the door.
We're diving in. Hey there. It's your host, Tim, stopping the podcast to tell you about an awesome deal that you can get through Rep Sports. Rep Sports is a supplement company, so they help supplement people's workout lives. They have proteins, pre-workouts, post-workouts, recoveries. They have all types of supplements over there, so go check them out and fill out that stack. I know you're getting low. I can feel it. My stack's getting low. I'm about to do me a shop as well. You can also get mine and Elle's favorite energy drink, Raise Energy. I'm telling you, one can get you through the day. Not a problem. Raise Energy is fantastic. No crash at all. So if you go to repsports.com and use the code WDF15, you can get 15% at checkout. Again, WDF15, you get 15% at checkout, and you also get to support this podcast and support your workout routine, man. Go do it. Now enjoy the rest of this podcast that we love doing. Hey guys, welcome to the ad section. I'm here to tell you real quick about Anchor by Spotify. You may have heard us talk about Anchor at the end of our episodes, is because Anchor is the platform we use to distribute our podcasts. It's totally free. It helps us distribute our podcasts to different platforms. That's how we're on Apple Podcasts. That's how we're on Google Podcasts, CastBox, you name it. They've helped us do that. You can record directly on the app, on the webpage, so you don't even need a super fancy setup. It's super straightforward, totally free. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started on your podcast or whatever you like to do. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the episode. All right, so here we go. What are lobsters? Let's start there. You know what I mean? We can't just start talking about lobster. It's just, especially on an audio medium, they're just figments. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They're just figments of our imagination. We gotta make them. We gotta make them come to life in people's fucking lobes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, sorry for cussing. Is this an X-rated pod? Who knows? We're naked talking about food.
No, we're not. I swear. Mom, I swear we're not.
So lobsters are large marine crustaceans. That's the first thing.
Crustaceans.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 of their 5 pairs of legs, have claws. I did not know this. I thought they
Wait,
just had
what?
I thought they just had the 2 at the front, big boys. No. So they
Ooh.
have 5 pairs of legs.
Absolutely not.
3 of them are claws.
So that's not counting the big pincers.
That is counting the big pincers. That
So
they are considered the legs.
No.
Yeah. They are invertebrates with
Forgot about
exoskeletons.
that, yeah.
They're bugs is what they
Kinda
are.
forgot about that.
Truly. Also,
Bugs of the
something
ocean.
else I didn't know about lobsters is they shed as they
Like,
grow. Yeah.
Really?
And we'll learn a little bit more about how
That's
that
cool. Okay.
impacts their food costs and like
Sure. Okay.
flavor and
Interesting.
what people like about them
Okay.
and things like that. So now let's go into how long have people been eating lobsters? You know what I mean? Like who did this? Why? For what reason? The fuck is wrong
Who
with
done
you?
it?
All right. So lobsters have been eaten by humans since prehistoric times.
Makes
Prehistory
sense. Okay.
times, right? Like before anybody could write anything down.
They knew that like
They're
that
just
lobster.
yeah,
though.
we're just walking around, just eating lobsters and
No
writing
garlic butter?
things on caves and being visited by aliens. So I mean, that was life back then, and it was great, you know.
Do you guys hear that UFO coming in?
I'm sorry, is the FBI at the door? Did
The X
did
Files.
I say too much?
David Duchovny? No.
All right, so evidence shows lobster being consumed regularly,
Okay.
not just randomly. Like,
So it was like
this
a
is
part of the-
this is very normal. This is like in their lexicon of food.
Yeah. Okay.
By coastal communities in Britain, South Africa, Australia, Papua New Guinea, and that was all around 100,000 years ago.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't think lobster and Britain went
They have
went
a lot
hand
of
in hand.
they
but
have a lot
turns
of
out-
coasts, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So a lot of these coastal cities, 100,000 years ago, again, prehistory.
Yeah.
Like they were eating lobster on the regular. It's kind of incredible. Yeah. It was also believed to be a secondary food source for most of Europe. So, like, yeah, Britain, it was like a big thing in coastal cities, but it was big enough to be a secondary food source for like most of Europe, which is insane.
That's banana lands when you think about how much is
Yeah.
going from the coast. Wow.
And then, like, I mean, as I've already stated, like for Britain, it was a primary source of food. So, like, that means it's legitimately just like a staple. It's a meat that they eat consistently enough to be considered like, hey, without that, you know, their diets would be vastly different. So that's super wild to me. So
I had no idea, honestly.
I think so. We're gonna kind of go through the history of lobster, and I think one thing that really stood out to me was the price and how it varied. I think a lot of people have heard that, you know, lobster was once like a peasant food.
No, okay, no,
you didn't
time
know that.
out. No,
okay,
I had no idea
okay.
about that.
Well,
Okay.
I don't want to jump ahead, but like,
Okay.
so it's a pretty. It's
sorry.
It's no, but I mean, I would say that is probably one of the most common things I've heard from people just randomly whenever you talk food with people. Is I've heard the most as like people's little like fun facts.
Sure.
That I am just chock full of all the time. Is that like
Take on a game show,
is that like lobster? It used to be a peasant's food, but when I dived into this, oh buddy, it is a way different picture.
Okay.
And we're gonna get into it right meow. So it was actually the mid to late Roman period, lobster was actually a mid-range delicacy.
Okay.
So not only in prehistory was it fucking widely consumed, like in tons of different countries, it was mid-range in that mid to late Roman time period as well.
Okay.
So it wasn't cheap right off the bat, which is what that original fact sort of makes you think. Like it makes you think like, oh, this is like a peasant's food, and then it slowly got turned into like a delicacy.
Yeah.
But like pretty much right from the jump, people kind of knew that this shit was bussin'. So they were all about it. The price of lobster, obviously, it varies a lot, especially back then. Like you're talking travel times to inland cities and stuff like that. Like there's tons of different reasons. But the big thing is when you're transporting it inland, that's where that cost really starts to vary. Fun fact about lobster, it doesn't hold as well as cooked fish. So it didn't go, it really didn't go inland a lot. So if it did, it would go to upper class people. And
Okay.
that's
Can afford
so
to, yeah.
again, not peasant food.
No,
like
no,
at this time,
at this point.
this was 100% like upper end, and
Yeah.
especially inland. The more inland you got, the more expensive it got, which
Okay.
means that it was, it was fucking kings with their feet on pillows. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So this stuff was so popular that there's actually a mosaic in Pompeii of a spiny lobster.
Oh shit. Okay. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
So that's how like
I didn't realize.
yeah,
it was
that's
so
how like wildly
prominent.
prominent this thing was. So to another group of people, we're gonna go to the Moche people, and
Okay.
I looked it up. That's how you say it.
Oh, fantastic.
So it
Very
was
good.
super popular amongst the Moche people of Peru between 50 Common Era and 800 Common Era. So this is also a long
Way back.
time ago.
Way back. Way back.
The Moche people used to use the lobster shells to make light pink dyes. They used
cool.
the shells as tools.
Smart.
Like
I've heard of that
there,
before.
and then apparently, and this is really funny to me because I kind of dove into this a little more and I really couldn't find much more. But there's like a mass-produced air quotations lobster-shaped effigy. So like it's just this lobster-shaped sort of thing, but no one knows what it's used for.
Interesting. Okay.
They just know it happened.
Okay.
And I kind
I
of
respect that. I was
kind
gonna
of
say.
love that. I tried to like go deeper into
Sure.
it. There's not anything else that just sort of
All you need to know is that it existed. and
yeah,
that
it sort of
happened.
just takes us further off on
Way
a
back,
total
okay.
different tangent that isn't
Fair.
about lobster. But like, I thought that was pretty cool. Like these people mass produced an unknown thing to use, and it was lobster shaped. That's Winston. That's my dog.
Oh,
She's
big
having a
beef.
good time.
She is having a good time.
Oof. All right, so now we're moving forward. We're crawling. We're in the Viking period. And I could talk for a while about Vikings as
We
well.
love Vikings.
Yeah. So we're in the Viking period, and lobster and seafood consumption,
hmm
what do you think it did?
I wouldn't say it expanded some more, right?
It
More
blew
people were
the
eating it.
fuck up. Yeah, it blew up because like so the thing is Vikings like they kind of advanced
I was like, they conquered
like
the rest of the
marine
world.
travel
Right.
essentially. Like they had their boats and these like sophisticated
hose. Oh,
things.
sorry.
So they had their boats and their hose.
Sorry. Yep.
And so
Sophisticated.
so that saw an increase in lobster and seafood consumption.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and so that was again, not only it just becomes more and more accessible, it still didn't drop in value. Like
Interesting.
it's
Yeah.
still like the Vikings, like again, it was
That's a good
still
point.
more for like
Mm-hmm.
a mid to upper class people. Now let's talk about its first appearance in literature or a cookbook. It makes its first appearance in a cookbook called, and I am super not gonna get this
Sure.
correct,
Okay.
Les Viandières de Taillevent.
That wasn't bad, dude.
It was in France circa 1300. The book called for lobster to be cooked in wine or water or in the oven and to be consumed in vinegar.
Interesting on the vinegar part.
So,
Okay.
And you're going to see that that's very normal as we move forward.
Interesting. Okay.
I do like that it's just like, yeah, cook it in wine or water.
Sure.
Like cook it in something
Blase.
cook it in something really flavorful or not at all.
How you
or
depends how you live your
in
life.
the oven with neither.
Whichever. Tim, wait, time out of the three. Which would you do though?
Wine. Easy. So fun thing about this cookbook though is that it's actually considered one of the first like haughty-taughty cookbooks. Like it's one of the first more complicated kind of like finer cuisine cookbooks, which I thought was really cool. Also very
cool.
fitting to show you where lobster fit in this society.
Absolutely.
Like the first sort of
Haughty-taughty.
like cookbook that is a little like upper echelon, all this has lobster in it.
Has
It's like,
lobster in it.
okay, well, fucking A.
Makes sense.
All right, so let's move forward a little bit more. So during the 1400s, lobster remained super popular amongst the wealthy. The Bishop of Salisbury held a feast, and it included 42 kinds of crustaceans and fish.
Holy cow.
So
What a feast, my guy.
And seafood was just busting, and lobster was
Yeah.
a part of that crustacean list. And I
Absolutely,
bet
for
there
sure.
was a couple different lobsters he had there too.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about lobster's downfall. Not really. So lobster remained a delicacy and a staple until the late 17th century.
Okay.
Then the church actually
300
started
years.
to they started to
The
influence. Yeah,
church?
the church started to influence
Of course
diet.
they do.
So with fastings and
Dang,
certain
okay.
foods, things like that, it started to influence certain times when certain things could be consumed. What do you think that did to lobster?
Well, if the church is getting involved saying you can't eat it with your diet.
It actually bolstered it.
How?
Because
what? Okay, time out.
the church is okay with you eating seafood.
Oh.
A lot of it is around hoofed animals. So an alternative is lobster. An alternative is seafood. So.
And this was in the 15th.
Yeah, this was in the 17th century.
Okay.
Yeah, 17th century.
Wow.
And so from the late 17th century onward, lobster was consumed and transported a lot better. Technology, starting to go up. Now this is also interesting. It caused a shortage.
High demand.
So late 17th century, church starts to impact the way people are eating things. All of a sudden, lobster is getting even more popular. Okay, now we have technology. It's able to, when we're able to capture more, we're able to, transport it more. Actually causes a shortage, which then causes the price to rise again.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So
Wow, okay.
So now
it's way more expensive.
Super delicacy. Yeah. It's amongst, the
elites
rich.
Of elites, yeah. Because the church just wanted more lobster. That's all it came down to.
Lobster, living the high life in Europe.
Living
the high life in Europe. Now, here's where that fun fact comes from about lobster being for poor people.
Okay.
And then kind of working its way.
Okay.
It is only in North America. Europe, it never dipped.
A
lot of Europe has coast, so it never there was never a reason to be like, oh well, whatever, we're not gonna eat that. In North America, at first, it was not popular at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That kind of surprises me.
Yeah. The European settlers just was like, no, this is peasant
food. That was actually why they came over to the Americas.
Yeah. They were like, no, this is peasant food.
Religious freedom? No, we don't hate lobster.
Yeah. And they believe so. And a part of the reason that we believe they felt this way about lobster when they got to North America is that they felt it was a lesser than meat. Because, again, the church started to impact diet, so it's considered this alternative. And what are settlers leaving Europe for at the time?
It really does go back to religious freedom.
Exactly.
Hey-o.
So they were
Incredible.
like, no, I don't like that. So
they said, let me get my beef, please.
Yeah, they were like, I want meat.
I want my hoofed animals.
Look like meat's back on the menu, boys. Yeah, you know what? It remained peasant food for a hot minute.
Interesting.
It was believed to be served in prisons.
Wow.
Yeah. And not only that, but the prisoners fucking hated it. Yeah. Can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine that? That's your punishment meal is fucking lobster. It was fed to pigs. It was in slop. So peasant food, prisoner food, pig food.
Incredible.
I don't know if you can fall from harder and higher and faster in the history of anything.
What a juxtaposition.
Yeah,
because again,
across the seas,
it's still a high delicacy.
It's sitting on thrones.
Right.
In America, we're just tossing it. We're tossing it to fucking wild
pigs.
Dogs and pigs. We're just tossing it to them. Get out of here, you fucking mutt.
Scram. Wow. No, I can't fathom that. That's actually incredible. Also very interesting. Because something that I don't know if I've noticed with the research is that a lot of times with foods is if it's down in one side of the world, chances are it's also down in the other. And so I think it's very interesting that.
Yeah. Oh, and I think that's such a modern era complex.
Yeah.
Right?
Back
then it's fucking A, it took you half a year to you know what I mean? And again, I also find it super fascinating that, and again, it's a theory, right? History is hard to,
absolutely.
When you're getting real deep, it's hard. You can't tell the motivations of people. But I do like the idea of European settlers came over here for religious freedom, and they're just
that was absolutely.
They're you know what? No.
That makes sense. Yeah.
They're no. The church only gave this shit out, and we only got this shit when it was all on off days. Fuck no, this is gross. This sucks.
Is this inherently why some people just don't like? I say ocean food, any type of seafood.
Maybe, yeah.
They're looked down upon it.
Is this why Americans are the way they are?
Is this actually what this pod is going to show?
Yeah, that's essentially what you're asking.
Wow.
How the food molds us. That's actually what we're going for. We're very actually high-minded. We didn't want to just bullshit about food for an hour. It just doesn't live highly with Americans for a good minute. It isn't until the mid-19th century.
Oh wow!
That's not
that long ago.
That the American lobster finally gets popular. That does not mean it gets expensive.
Right.
It just means it gets popular. It was New Yorkers and Bostonians.
Of course it was. I was okay.
That liked it. They started to enjoy it.
Lobster crab.
And
Lobster
so,
bisque.
yeah, so time just kind of flowed. That's the thing, though. It wasn't until the 20th century that it wasn't viewed as a cheap canned food.
Okay, 17th century to the 19th century.
It was complete dog shit. And it wasn't until mid-19th century that we just started liking it.
Literally from the inception of this country to like essentially the Great Depression. We were like,
our biggest enemy,
and then we
lobster.
Yeah. I never would have guessed that.
Now we have lobster restaurants, and they're themed.
Red Lobster.
The doors have
Beyonce
claws as handles.
The cheddar biscuits.
If an alien came to America and he saw a building like Red Lobster or Joe's Crab Shack, he would think we served crustaceans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would be
absolutely.
It would be like people in America. There's certain communities that have lobster shrines. And then the rest of the country seems to like burgers and this guy named Jesus. So I don't know.
They need to figure that out.
Super wild.
Nah, I had no idea.
Yeah. So in Europe, I mean, like, of course, price kind of fluctuated.
Okay.
In the sense of like it only really ever kind of went up for the most part. Like it kind of just stayed. It kind of just stayed in that like, and the biggest reason lobster stayed in that region in Europe was just the travel. It was that inland travel. You know, like Europe didn't know about salt for a while. You know what I mean? So it's just like the way food and spices work and the way that travel worked back then. You know, you looked at water wrong, you died. Like
no, that's actually very
accurate.
I
mean, like waterborne illnesses. Waterborne illnesses today kill 1 in 9 kids. You can only imagine back then. It's like 1 in 1, baby. Like, yeah, if you weren't having twins every time you gave birth, you weren't. Your tallies were dropping. It's the shotgun method back then.
There was absolutely.
Let's kind of, that's the history, man. So let's kind of dive into sort of lobster, how we kind of grade it. And I don't know how long the grading system kind of stayed in place, but it feels like kind of modern Marvel-ish, the way we kind of like talk about shipping and grading. And you know what I mean? It just feels sort of like this is when we have ships that are the size of icebergs, you know what I mean? So lobster gets graded as new shell, hard shell, or old shell.
Okay.
New shell lobsters are when they just like right when they shed.
Oh.
And the meat is super sweet, apparently. Yeah. So that is the thing about the new shell lobsters though is that they're very fragile. So they don't ship well. So typically new shell lobsters only get delivered to the coastal cities that they're caught on.
Okay. Which makes
and then the hard shell and the old shell, they both have thicker shells and they're more durable, so they can be shipped further, right? Which makes the prices inversed. You would think new shell, delicate, sweet, good meat, more meat even, because the thicker shell reduces the amount of meat in the claw. You would think those are more expensive.
Absolutely.
It's not. It's cheaper because they don't travel as far. So hard shell, old shell travel further, so it makes it more expensive.
So in theory, less product, more expensive.
So in theory, when you go to a coastal city and you're buying that new shell lobster and you paid $40 for that lobster mac and cheese. When you're paying $40 for that lobster mac and cheese, just know that they got that lobster for way cheaper than that lobster mac and cheese that you're getting from Red Lobster in the middle of bumfuck USA.
That stresses me out also, but I know that doesn't make any
Isn't that wild?
Isn't
that wild?
I was just say, isn't that the inverse for other foods?
I believe so,
like
right?
For the
most part, like usually the more tender and the more delicate and the better, like usually that quality increases the price. And I don't know like actual prices or what that looks like, but like I found that super, super interesting because, but it can also maybe, it might even make a little bit of sense with the way lobster, I mean, yeah, there's cheaper versions of it and there's more expensive versions of it, right? At the end of the day, it sort of does make sense that like the price variable doesn't change greatly. It's sort of just like if you're paying $40 for like a lobster mac and cheese, it's probably because that lobster mac and cheese has more than just that really good, like
it's got good
new
cheeses
shell
in
lobster.
it, yeah.
It's probably got good cheeses. You know, someone's probably whipping it up back there. They're
Absolutely.
chefing. They're Chef
They're
Boyardee,
chefing up
baby.
yeah.
You know what I mean? They're in the back.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Steph Curry with that
yeah, they're sweating and they wipe the sweat off and they just whoop, put a couple drips in your fucking lobster mac and cheese, and
hey,
it just adds flavor and adds electrolytes. As opposed to you going to like a Red Lobster and it's like a hungover like 22-year-old who's getting paid like $7.25.
Bro, I just gotta pay for college. No,
and his sweat tastes like fucking New Amsterdam.
New Amsterdam vodka.
So you know,
Pink
it's a
Whitney's.
little, you know, pick your fucking choice.
No, I think that's a good. That does remind me. I think it's indicative of that most people are going to have their seafood, whatever type of seafood that they enjoy. They're gonna wait to enjoy it when they go to those coastal cities.
Right.
They're not gonna. You're right. They're not. Hopefully, they're not gonna go to some fucking restaurant in BFE Midwest and they're like, yeah, let me have this hard-shelled lobster that has.
Yeah. But it
who
happens.
knows how long?
Yeah.
But it happens absolutely.
But it absolutely happens.
Yeah,
Because like that's also one of the thing about I guess benefits of not only modern world but America.
It is.
You kind of just get to eat like
whatever you want, whenever you want,
whenever you want.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Welcome to USA, baby. The best.
But yeah.
Food's the best thing we have. So killing, and now we're going to talk about killing lobsters. So if you already hated this because we're killing crustaceans and the idea of lobsters,
you should
in general,
probably just go ahead and
you
turn
should
the
have
pod
probably
off.
turned it off a while ago.
Our
Come
next
back
episode,
for a different episode.
You'll probably like the next one. We're talking about killing crustaceans.
So killing lobsters. Everything about the lobster is just interesting. I don't like it. Truly
Learned
is
a lot, honestly. I didn't think. Yeah.
It's actually changed. Like the way we kill lobsters has changed. So there's a few different ways, right? You've all seen the live lobster gets dropped directly into a pot of boiling water and it lashes and kills them. Very painful.
To the lobsters.
Yeah.
The poor things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lobsters can feel pain and it is painful.
Because they're quite literally getting boiled alive. That makes sense.
So there is also pithing, which is where you stab the brain, and the idea is that it kills them immediately.
Okay.
However,
oh no. Okay.
the way lobster brain works is that it's actually separated, and so what we believe is that when you pith, all you're doing is you're just paralyzing them, and that they're actually still alive, and then you drop them in the boiling water. Yeah.
I don't like that.
Okay, so
damn.
Here's the thing, and there's also another way where this is the worst one, is where you just essentially rip out their thorax.
Fuck.
Right? You know what I mean? Like you just take it all the way out, and like yeah, I mean it's essentially like if I gutted you. You know what I mean?
And
Just
they're
shitty.
still alive.
Yeah. So that doesn't really happen as often.
Sure.
It still does happen, but it doesn't happen as often.
Damn.
So here's something. Parts of Italy actually fine people for boiling lobsters.
What do you mean?
Like if you boil live lobsters, you can get fined.
Okay.
And it's actually heavily used, used in Europe. Like the Swiss government, they banned it completely.
Oh wow.
A lot of the newer ways is to just give them a quick jolt of electricity. They actually created like a device specifically where it just gives them like a perfect deadly dose. Kills them immediately. So that's the most common way now to actually kill lobsters.
No clue.
I was literally reading this and I was thinking about that scene in Mrs. Doubtfire where Robin Williams like kills a lobster brutally. But he catches the kitchen on fire, so he's like patting his breast.
Like, oh,
yeah. So
dude.
Yeah.
No, yeah, because I mean, I feel like a lot of people our age could probably relate to like growing up, you'd go in like the Walmart or like the Kroger or like whatever grocery stores, and they would have the tanks out.
That's another thing I realized why it's not there anymore.
That makes sense because we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And then like I don't really know when it stopped, but
when does anything stop? Everything just sort of leaves.
Not to be this person, but like there's so many things in the world that you do for the last time, but you don't realize it's your last time.
Yeah.
And then
everything just leaves, and then you see a picture of it on
you're
Twitter,
like,
and you're like,
dude?
I don't believe in life anymore.
3 years. Yeah. 3 years later, you're like, wait a second.
I like how we're talking about this, and then you have people that lived through like Fucking 60s.
Actual World Wars.
Yeah, where there were like when there were like call centers
Rations.
that like had to plug your number and shit. 911 didn't even exist until the 70s. So like, you know what I mean?
Each generation has their own plight, Tim.
Yeah, not to lessen our lobster tank disappearing, but like there are people that are alive today that literally learned about 911.
Yeah,
like,
that's fucking.
as in it's a new thing.
It's a new thing.
Yeah. So
there's this cool thing. It's 3 digits. You're ever in trouble.
Can easily be dialed by toddlers.
Stay on the line.
Yeah.
Let us know you're okay.
So yeah, man, that's the information about lobster.
Okay, I learned.
That's
so
a
much
lot
today.
of
Yeah.
like that's a lot. I did that in 30 minutes or less, baby.
I didn't
I'm
realize.
a pizza chain.
Bill's free.
Lobster mac and cheese pizza, huh? What would that be like? All right,
Tim.
how do you feel about lobster now?
I'm impressed with it now. I think more than
you were. And you were
than
at
I
a
were. And I was
170
at a 175, yeah.
175 horseshoes out of 200.
So
it's
we're
like
gonna I'm gonna just keep it up. We'll go 185.
180. We bumped you up.
We
10
bumped it.
horseshoes.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if that was. I know you're trying to lower it, but I'm just impressed with it. I'm impressed with its will to steadfast and stay on top of the world on like the other side.
Yeah.
And then it
clawed
really
it
way back.
Yeah, it clawed its
quite literally. So
tip of the hat on that one, huh?
All right.
Clawed its way back to the top.
I'm
It's
gonna
like
clock out, Tim. Done for the night.
I did, yeah. I really, lobster fascinated me through and through, and I am very impressed with its Rocky-like story. You know what I mean? It's, it gets defeated, but it comes back, baby. Doesn't give a fuck about the brain damage. Sorry for cussing again. This is an R-rated podcast.
Yeah, I already said damn a few times,
but yeah,
I think we should fuck too.
guys, that's lobster. We're gonna, I'm gonna throw in our little fucking welcome to the end of the podcast where I ramble a little bit. So
there's music.
Guys, follow us on Twitter.
Yes.
At Where Does Food. That's the page. I'm at Tim Wehunt. L is at
El Chapo now.
El Chapo.
I changed it.
L is at El Chapo. Good for you, L. We're changing that. I guess I need to. Because I'm technically like the nerd for having the just my name. Apparently, I'm a loser for that.
No, I did that too, and that was apparently an issue.
Yeah. Either way, at Where Does Food, at Tim Wehunt, at El Chapo. You follow us on Twitter, and you'll see all of the episode drops and all that fun stuff. You can find us on anchor.fm/where does food is a lot.
It's a long one, though. It's a long one.
Yeah. So that's a super long one, but you can find us on Anchor. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Castbox. We're out there. We're on a lot of platforms, so you can find us there. If you go to anchor.fm, we do have a supporter button, and we're also going to roll in some different bonus content, stuff like that. Yeah, go there. Keep an eye out. Again, check out Twitter at Where Does Food. Check out anchor.fm/where-does-food.
Yep.